Hi, everybody. I just want to go over the solutions to the measures of variability of data worksheet. So, um, you can see first thing I do is I write it out again. So I'm just basically taking this table here and I'm putting it up here. But then I do my cumulative frequency. So obviously in this class there's 4, so my total is 4. And then there's 6 more here, so I add 6 to get to 10. And then 10 more here, so I add 10 to get to 20, and so on all the way down. And then this is my cumulative percent. And so in total there are 40, and like all of these numbers add up to 40. So that's how many kind of samples there are. And if I have 4 out of 40, that's 10%. If I have 6 out of 40, that's 25%. If I have 10 out of 40, that's, sorry, my bad, I did the wrong column. If I have 4 out of 40, I have 10%. If I had 10 out of 40, I have 25%. If I have 20 out of 40, I have 50. So this is my cumulative frequency, and this is my cumulative percentage, okay? And so by the end, 100% of my samples are here and below, okay? 85% of my samples are in this class here and below. Okay, so that's what this means. I can see here 50% of my data is actually going to be in this class and below. So from the 20 to 29, 10 to 19, and 0 to 9, that contains 50% of my data in here. And you can see these numbers are big, 10, 6, and 4. That's 20 out of 40 are right in here, so that makes sense. Okay? Okay, now I look at the questions. And if I want to know the value of the 65th percentile, I need to use this big ugly formula, which is big and ugly. I don't disagree. But once you understand all the letters, it's not so bad. So if I want to know the 65th percentile, then, okay, let's start with LX. So LX, let's look down here. The lower limit of the class containing the Xth percentile. Okay, what's the X percentile? Well, in our case, it's 65. So 65%, where would that be? Well, it's going to be right in here. Why is it in here? Because this is 70 and this is 50. And so in this class, like, don't forget, 50 means 50 and below. This means 70 and below. So this class is basically 70 to 51 type thing, or just above 50. So 65 is going to be in this class right here, 30 to 39. Okay? And it says the lower limit of this class. The lower limit of this class is 30. So that's where I got my 30 from. Okay. I is the size of the class interval. So I'm looking here. What's the size of the class interval? Well, it's 10 because it's 10 in each case. There's 10 from 0 to 9. There's 10 from 10 to 19. There's 10 from 20 to 29. That it's basically the size of the gap. Think of it that way. Okay, so that explains that. N is the total number of observations. And so in other words, how many people have been sampled here? 40. So N is 40. X is going to be the percentile, the number of the desired percentile. So that's an easy one. That's going to be 65 in our case, right here. And then over 100. Okay, so we've got this one, check, 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 check. 100 is just a number. So far, so good. So we need 2 more and we're okay. Now there's this weird thing, sigma FC. The cumulative frequencies below the class containing the X percentile. Okay, let's go look at the X percentile class again. That was 30 to 39. Okay, what is the cumulative frequency for the class below? Well, I go here, and there it is right there. It's 20. Okay, so that's where that number comes from. So 20. And then the last one, Fx, is the number of observations in the class containing the Xth percentile. Okay, so that's this class here. And how many observations? What's the frequency in other words? 8. Okay? So that's where all those numbers come from. And then I slowly crunch them up in my calculator and I ultimately wind up with that. But knowing how we got all these numbers is half the battle. So here, when you're doing B for the 4th decile, then that's really just P40. So I do the exact same thing, but for the 40th percentile. Where's the 40th percentile? Oh, it's right here, 50 and below. So 50 to 25, so it's right in here. So my lower limit is 20. My gap is still 10. My n is still 40. I'm looking for the 40th percentile. It's always over 100. 10 is the cumulative frequency of the class below, right there. And then the other 10 is the number, it's the frequency of the class. Okay, so again, once you understand it, it's okay. I mean, they're all the same. Let's just skip to the last one, P50. Well, 50, where's the 50th percentile? It's right here. Okay, so it's all going to be pretty much the same, except for this number here is going to be a 50. Right, so lower limit, gap, number of, like the sample size, 40 in total, and then that's my percentile. 100 is always 100. 10 is the class below, and then this 10 here is the number of samples. Okay, so once you get the first one, you should get all the other ones to fall in line. Now, the next one is a little bit trickier in that they change it up on you. So for E, here we go. It says, what is the percentile rank of a value of 15? So in this case, they don't give you, they're not asking you what is the X percentile, they're giving you X. This is the value that you're looking for, right? You're looking for the percentile rank. So they're giving you this number, they're giving you PX, the percentile rank, right, of a value of 15. Well, that's what they're giving you. So they're giving you this value, and then you can figure out all the other stuff, but they're not giving you n. So what they're asking you to find is what is the rank, okay? And I just realized I made a small error in that I should have left the, I know the n is still 40. The variable I should have left should have been x. But since these are multiplied together, it's not going to change anything at all. But basically what I'm telling you is that my n value right there, that should have been 40, and I should have had an x instead of the n. So I should have been solving for x, not n, because I want to find out the number of the desired percentile. I already know the total number of observations, which is 40. Okay, so that's a small error on my part. I just left the wrong variable. But it doesn't really, it's not going to affect my solution because these are multiplied by each other. Okay, so this should have been an x, my bad. But once you go ahead and set up this equation, I mean, it's not an easy one to solve, that's for sure, but once you get one equation with one unknown, you can solve. So what I did is I multiplied the 10 in here. Okay, so that makes, when I multiply by a fraction, remember I only multiply the top, so that's how I get 10 times 40 is 400. And then what should be x, but n, okay. So I get 40 over 100 here. 10 times 4, 40, sign's negative, still over 6. And then I just evaluate, so 400n over 100 divided by 6 gets me to here. You can do that on your calculator if you don't believe me. And then I have 40 over 6 over here. And now I've got it all on one line. Okay, so now I'm going to get the n on one side, so I just reduce this to give me 2n over 3. Everything else goes to their side, so that becomes negative, that becomes positive, and then I do the rest and get n by itself. So this should be an x in my final answer, but again, it's not going to matter too much as long as you get the 17.5. Okay? So I hope that clears things up. Sorry about the small error with the n. I hope that doesn't trip too many people up. Again, that should be an x because I'm trying to find out the number of the desired percentile. Okay? So if you have questions, leave them in the discussion.